Yo, what's up everyone? In today's video, I'm going to show you how to drop 4K damage with the Longbow in Apex Legends. But hold up just a second. If you're not too concerned with the how to drop the 4K damage part, don't worry, I'm still going to talk to you about how to be aggressive with snipers in Apex. So I had a few games where I just decided to switch up my loadout completely and try some new weapons that I don't usually run. And I dropped an insane 4K damage game using the Longbow and Wingman. Let's just say this is not your typical ideal loadout, but it was just the guns I found off drop, and I tend to roll with those first two weapons if I have a decent start with them. Apex doesn't really have a lot of progression or challenges the more you play, and so I gotta get creative sometimes and come up with my own. I'm gonna walk you through how I was able to drop 4K damage with a longbow, and I've got a ton of tips on how to be more aggressive with sniper rifles. Let's get into it. Alright, so I've got 3 specific tips when it comes to using snipers in order to have high damage games. The first tip is going to be you got to learn your role as a sniper. In Apex, you'll tend to notice a lot of the fights are up close and personal, and that's because it's different from a lot of other shooters, whereas in Apex you need to be fairly close in order to eliminate your enemy once you've knocked them. Obviously there are some situations where you can secure an elimination from a distance, but let's just say in the broad scheme of things, it's much easier to do it if you're up close. You may be able to knock an enemy from a distance, but sometimes securing that kill can be a lot harder. So when I'm sniping, I'm looking for what I call a lot of alternate angles. And these are angles where I may not directly be right next to my teammates, but where I still have a favorable angle on the enemy team. If they move up to get close to my teammates after doing some damage, I still have a great angle to help prevent them from pushing. Also, the gun I have is probably going to be the most ideal for this positioning and situation because of the damage per second and the range it is able to shoot from. I will show you some examples of this throughout the game. Tip number 2 is going to be create the proper amount of space in order to be the most successful when it comes to sniping. You'll see in this game, I didn't just sit back 200 meters away farming damage. Most of the engagements were under 100 meters. Some were very up close. Some were more mid-range. That's because I wanted to capitalize on any knocks I got. And if my 2 teammates weren't sniping, which they weren't, then I don't want to hinder them by having them play way back where I am sniping and they're unable to do any damage because let's say they're carrying an SMG and maybe a shotgun. You see, if they move up on a team and they go down, I need to be able to hit my shots if I'm staying back and sniping. Not only that, but I need to make sure I have line of sight on my opponents. So understanding your positioning as a sniper, especially if your teammates aren't sniping with you, is so critical to being a good support sniper. Now, if you're sniping in Apex, I recommend carrying an SMG or shotgun as your secondary. And this is because you have some flexibility if the whole quick scoping thing doesn't work out. A lot of the fights in Apex tend to be up close, as I said before. And in this game, having a Wingman as my secondary was definitely a high risk, high reward situation. Because both of the guns are single fire, but yes, they can do high damage, but at the end of the day, they can easily be outgunned if I don't hit my shots. And as I said, this was more of a challenge for me than anything, but the reality is sniping up close is extremely risky in Apex. The bullet travel and the hip fire is much different than some of the easier sniper games that I've previously played. Tip number 3 is going to be a simple one, but you just got to try to always carry as much sniper ammo as you can find. And here's why. If you're going for the 4K badge, having enough resources is a huge component to getting this badge. And you're not going to run into a ton of people who are sniping. Carrying a light weapon or a heavy weapon is much more common than carrying a sniper in Apex. So I try to carry at least 48 and at max like 72 to 100 if I can hold it. It all depends on my backpack size. And every situation is going to be different, but I always want to try to carry more than I think I need because a fight could go on for a little while if I'm sniping. Now I have another tip, but this is only for the controller players. If you use the sniper sights like the 6x, the 4 to 8x, and the 4 to 10x, you should know you get no aim assist when you ADS on these sights. So although I use those sights sometimes, I usually prefer the 3 times or the 2 to 4 if I'm in those mid-range fights. And if I'm doing close range, risky sniper fights, I usually just try to run the iron sights. It's high risk, but high reward, as I mentioned. And if I'm trying to quickscope people, I prefer to do it with the iron sights. I hope a few of those tips were helpful for you guys. And what I'm going to do for the rest of this video is I'm going to walk you through my decision-making process. And hopefully you guys can help better understand how I'm able to drop these 4K damage games so often. Now, obviously, wraiths have to get finished, especially bald wraiths, even if it means dying for it. No, I'm just playing, but my teammate body blocked me there, which was helpful for me to get the finisher off. Now, the only one that got away was that Pathfinder, and the way that team played, I could tell they were kind of sweaty. I figured they were a pre-made squad, so we decided to let him be because he went up on that high rock, and then another team came and tried to get involved. So once my armor almost gets cracked here, I'm like, all right, we're going to reposition. I'm going to portal just to draw some space because as I said, knowing your angle when you're sniping is critical. I don't want to be really up close if I'm already low. I want to draw some space, separate myself, and look for a more favorable angle with my longbow. And that's what I'm going to do here. If you've gotten any value out of this video so far, please be sure to slap a like on this video and show the YouTube algorithm that this is a good video. It helps me out tremendously and it only takes a second of your time. All right, back to the video. Now I fast forwarded a little bit and what we did was we moved up, we saw this team retreating and I'm able to get some nice shots on this bloodhound here. I hit him for about 150. And as I get aggressive and push up, because I just did 150 damage, that dang Pathfinder starts shooting my teammates in the back. So I 3-tap him and take him out of the game. Simple. But remember, I had the Bloodhound low, so I continue to push up and I look for him. I'm able to get the knock here by 4-tapping him with the Wingman. Nothing more satisfying than not missing a shot with the Wingman, am I right? I hit the quick thirst to get that extra damage. Now that Valkyrie went and respawned her teammate at this beacon here. So my teammate calls out that she's low. So as soon as I knock her here, I wait to thirst. I tell the random Gibby, don't thirst yet because I want this third teammate to spawn in. If I kill the Valkyrie, if I thirst her, the kid in the dropship will not spawn in and it will be one last kill. But what ends up happening is that third kid runs into a whole new team. We had a team mirroring us the whole time. We didn't even know about it. Now I've developed a perfect angle on this team. I'm using this bin as cover. I have a head glitch, so I'm just able to do a ton of damage to them. My teammate gets a knock with a thermite because I had them low. So I shift up, push up, get a better angle, do some more damage. And I see that they've set a portal, but what I end up picking up on is that they're going back and forth. So that tells me they ran into the third team. They're essentially sandwiched. And so they're gonna be dead here pretty soon. Now I'm very close to the 4K. I only need 600 damage. The octane goes down on the last team. So I want to play a little bit slower because I need about 400 more damage. So I will end up thirsting the octane, but I still want to shoot these other guys off and I want to stack that damage. When you're this close to the 4K, just make sure you play a bit slow. You want to secure the badge. You don't want to take the chance that you got somebody low and you assumed they healed, but they ended up not healing. That has happened to me plenty of times. So we let them kind of pass and drop back. That way I can stack up some damage because obviously I have the perfect weapon for this. So we force the other two to retreat and fall back a little. That way the fight can be drawn out just a little bit longer. And one of them got knocked. I knocked the Revenant. So the Wraith is trying to punch the Revenant inside, which is a pretty high IQ move. She's trying to move him faster because you don't crawl very fast when you're knocked. And I hit her for 120 right here. So I'm hoping she's going to back up so I can thirst the Revenant, secure the 4K. And that's what ends up happening here. If you guys enjoyed this video and you like Apex content, I hope you'll consider subscribing after watching this video and turning the bell on. I'm going to be pumping out a ton of solid content for Season 10, and I hope to see you guys there. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next upload. Peace.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay. Correct.